The next thing after that is at 17 degrees in the 9th house. That's him going somewhere. Oh, wait a minute. I just saw something. Okay, wait a minute. The ruler of the 8th house is Venus. Oh, all right, this is getting more interesting to me. And this, okay, the difference in this chart and Williams' chart is we see Mars coming from the 12th into the 1st. And I just realized something. The ruler of the 1st and the 8th are both Venus ruled, Libra and Taurus. I've seen this, by the way, on many other charts. And when you've done as many true crime charts, you'll know what I mean. When you have something like this with a co-ruler, say Libra on the ascendant, Taurus on the 8th, when you've got a co-ruler like this, all right, and Mars is in the 12th, crossing into the 1st, I think he was dead before he left the house. That's what I think. I think he was dead before he left the house. Now I'm going to ask myself, did he walk out of the house on his own 2 legs? All right, which I'm going to look to the 3rd house, Jupiter. And Jupiter's not even close to the moon. Jupiter's at 17 degrees, the moon's at 7. I don't think he left the house on his own 2 legs. I think he was already dead. And I think they took him out of the house at that time and took him somewhere. Because the moon's next aspect is in the 9th, taking him on a long distance trip, or his body. So do I think foul play? In these 2 cases, yeah. In these 2 cases, I think there was foul play. I don't think we're going to hear about him again. Now, what is involved? I want more time to sit down with the charts. And I also want to take a look off, you know, I'm going to look at all the other cases and see what I think. But that's how I approach a true crime case anyway. You know, I don't know, does anybody have any thoughts that they want to throw in, or something you see in the charts that I might be missing? You know, just I mean, yeah, I think that there's some kind of foul play here. Both of these charts look like they thought that they were meeting or going to talk to someone, or got a call from somebody that they thought was a work friend, and then they're gone and they're not coming back. In my opinion, my personal opinion, I don't think they're going to be found or come back. Oh, well, that's the next question. Do I think they're going to be
You also said
found?
that each time that they both talked to women and then you thought it was
Mm-hmm.
a male. I'm curious to see the other charts if that's a similar pattern, that maybe the woman
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
not necessarily the woman is the go-between between the 2 people that they met.
Or
That's
it might
all.
have been their wife. Maybe they talked to their
May,
wife before they left. I
maybe,
don't know.
maybe, yeah, that's the thing. Like that's kind of curious that they both have the same patterns. I noticed.
Now, one thing I forgot to add this. This is what I do. This is what I did with the Nancy Guthrie case. I want to know if they're going to find the body. All right. For that, you look at the 4th house. On Williams' case, we have a 28 Leo. 4th, we've got the node in the 4th, and the sun's in the 10th. Oh, that's interesting. Sun's in the 10th at 9 degrees. Where's Saturn? 1. I want to look at this a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Because here's the thing. There's a difference between being found and the body, or parts of the body, are out in the open under the sun. So with the sun ruled 4th house, I'm not sure. I'd have to do more work on this chart, but either parts of him will be found, or he may be out in the open somehow under the sun. I'm not sure. I want to do more work on that. But on the other one, Steve, will we find the body? All right, we've got 18 Capricorn. with Pluto in the fourth of it. Ooh, no, I don't think so. Let's see. Oh, no, no. Saturn, Neptune. Okay. The fourth house ruler, Saturn, Neptune in the sixth house, both retrograde. And Pluto, no, no, we're not going to find out what happened to Steve. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Michelle. And you and I can probably do that. We got to find, because it took me forever to find the actual times on these cases. So that's what I want to do with the other 9. We got to find the time, the location, and see what the patterns are, if any, you
I
know.
have the lists of all the names
Great,
and all of their, also their departments that they worked in.
great. And I just heard yesterday that they're going to actually like formally look into it. So I'll be curious how this works out. But right now on these 2, I don't think they're going to really find the men. Let's put it
Well,
that
I
way.
think once Uranus goes into Gemini and then it
Mm-hmm.
makes an applying trine with Pluto, I think we may find more information. I think that it's not going to be a dead issue.
No,
I
the
really
trine to
do.
Pluto would actually be the government getting involved.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's
Yeah,
going to be a, because it could very well be likely that, there may be, foreign affairs involved in
could
this.
be.
We,
That's why,
that's why we have to really, like you said, but I found it completely fascinating the way you went through all those. I'm always fascinated by the way you do your charts,
well, that's the
by the
thing.
way.
Let's get the 9 other ones and I'll show you because I'm not really getting into too much detail, like, why or any of that. I don't want to do that on this, but you and I can do that separately off the recording,
Oh,
you
I want
know?
to do that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get the other 9 charts and let's start seeing if there is a common denominator, common pattern, kind of a thing, or if they're disconnected. They might not be related. If they are related, it will show up in the charts. We'll
Oh,
see that.
yeah.
I mean, these 2 look like there's some between these 2 looks connected, but again, we have to look at the other 9.
And also, I like to say, being a person who does go onto social media a lot and read a lot of things, I've noticed recently, this could also be Saturn, Neptune also, and Mercury lining up, a lot of conspiracy theories around this.
Yeah.
So that always mucks the waters. But in
Yep.
the conspiracy theory itself, in my opinion, there is some line of truth. And with Saturn, I mean, with the Uranus trine, like you said, with Pluto, I
Hmm.
think that there may be some way to maybe ease into getting to the bottom of like really what happened here.
Yeah, because if it was connected with their work, there'll be some sixth house going on. If it is a conspiracy, there'll be some 12th house going on or some Mars Neptune. Yeah, we've got to pull all of them and start seeing if they're connected or not. I do find it's just fascinating to me that, both of these cases, there was no note or no communication, just gone, and the moon was in both of them. So it's just kind of interesting to me. But yeah, let's get the other 9 cases and tear them up and see what we come up with, you
How do
know?
you figure out like the last time they were seen and the last time, or, the 911 call, or that's usually not public
Oh, times.
information.
Well,
Like they think it doesn't matter.
ideally I want a 911 call because that's a definite time. And then I've got a caller and then I've got what they called about, you know?
Yeah, and most
So
of the time they don't post the time of the
I
911
know,
call.
but
So,
that's okay. Now you know why I look to the Mars because the Mars tells me when it happened.
oh
Because
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right, we get the wrong times on the news all the time. But the Mars crossing the Ingles tells me the right time. Now, if I can't get a 911 call, um, like Steve's case is a good point. There was no 911 call. All they know is his wife said that he left between 11 and 12. So as you saw, I played with the minutes till I saw Mars cross over, and then I used that chart. So
Ah,
you can take the time last seen that somebody last saw them.
Yeah, because
Especially,
there's another case where she was hiking. It was the most recent one, And I know that they have a time for when she went hiking, so we could look into that as well.
Yeah, maybe there's a time that she, like, I know when you go into a park, you usually get a ticket. You know, maybe there was a time that she bought her ticket into the park or something like, or parked her car or, yeah, we got to figure out what we can get as a time.
But how do you ask people for that? You know, like, what
Well,
do you
that's why I
say?
dig on the internet. I dig on and now you know why I said Lois Rodden was a beast.
Yeah.
Lois would call anybody and ask
Because
them.
sometimes I've looked and I'm like, I can't find it anywhere. And,
Oh,
you
okay. No,
know,
but that's a good point.
it's kind of weird if
If,
people,
yeah,
if
if
you
you
call people and
really,
say, hey, what time did you call 911?
yeah, well, let's say you can't find it online and you don't want to call somebody. Here's what you can do is you take the time of the first news report.
Oh,
So you look for when did the news report it? You look for the oldest one, you know, or try to find like the first news, that broke the story.
ah,
And if you can find the first time the news told the story or printed the article or broadcast the news, look for the news is another one to look for because
okay.
that also gives you an event. Um, and then also, if you get like nothing, like a ballpark, I had a case once where I could not find the time of a woman that they said she left a hardware store and then they found her body, you know, like down the road. So for myself, I just looked for that Mars crossing the angle and I followed that Mars and told me everything I needed to know. So, I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
sometimes you can look just to the Mars crossing the angle tells you the event, but yeah, 911 call is good. Time last seen, um, that they parked, time their car was found. I remember that sometimes they find the car. Um, or if you really just can't seem to find any times, go to the first news report and the time that the news, said it, that becomes in a chart. And then, but same thing, the news is the 10th house. So then you can take that into factor that the news it's reporting it is the 10th house in that one. If somebody's calling 911, it's the third house. If it was a time last seen, then you're taking the first house as the person that saw them. Just and so you also have to figure out the perspective of the case itself, that way. Of a 911 call, yeah, it's going to be the third house of the phone call. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
news, if they broadcast the news, would be the 10th house. So then that also, you can sort out the event that way better too. Or play with the Mars until you see the angles, the Mars moving over the angle, and that tells you when they left. Or like in this case we just saw, I think he was dead and then they took him out of the house because of where the moon's at. And that's why you go, the moon's last event tells you what happened right before. And then the moon's next event tells you what happened after they left the house.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make
Fascinating.
sense?
Yes, it
Let
does.
yeah, if you
I
guys
think you
can
had
help
a
me get these
couple of
charts.
I think you had a couple questions in the chat. I don't know. I
I
think.
couldn't see the chat. Can anybody see if there was questions in the chat? Yeah, I don't
Let's
see the
see.
chat. Oh,
It was
wait.
just me. I just said it'd be interesting when the node, when Uranus goes into Gemini, it should square the nodes. So it might
Oh, yeah.
dredge up something. And then I said, if you really want to get good at digging for stuff, get your ruler in Scorpio in the fourth house.
That's
That's
true.
me. I can dig up anything. Just give me a shovel.
Well, help us get as many times as we can. We got 9 other scientists to dig up times, you
I
know?
need to do